Welcome to the Arcfluence podcast, where we talk about how design impacts the way we live, work, and invest. I'm Nick Caracan, your host, and with me today is my business partner and co-host, Paul Fatkins. How you doing, buddy?
Good. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sunny, touch on the warm side, but that's all right.
I'll take the heat. Columbus summers are a little hot.
Yeah.
But
we could be in a worse spot. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm doing good. Today's a special episode.
Tell me, what's so special about it?
Well, it has to do with awards, so that's what makes it special.
Yeah, awards for?
One is actually, no, they're both for People's Choice.
Yeah.
So we're in the running for People's Choice on 2 different projects that we submitted for.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about the projects. One is a residential custom home. The other one is a chiropractic office, commercial space, and some really fun design aspects of these.
Yeah. So which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the one that never got built, which is in the unbuilt category, or do we want to talk about the one that actually did get built, which is in the interior design category?
Let's talk about the cliffs.
Okay. I'll let you kick off and lead the way with the cliffs. This one was a connection that you had originally, right?
Yeah. So we used to help manage the STR down at this particular property. It's honestly, if you guys haven't been to Hocking Hills, you should check it out. It is quickly become the vacation hotspot of Ohio. And now people are coming from out of state to check this beautiful place out. And I guess when you think of Ohio, you don't necessarily think of waterfalls and rolling hills with forests and just lots of nature and serene landscapes, but we have it here in Ohio, and there's quite a bit to do if you're into hiking and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not a national park, is it, or is it an Ohio State Park?
So there is the Clear Creek Metro Park is a protected park in Ohio.
Yeah, but like Old Man's Cave, Rock House, like all the individual sites are all part of just the Ohio system, right? It's not part of the national system.
Correct.
But I mean, still, you go there and it's like, the elevation change, the caves, like you said, waterfall, water features,
rock face.
Yeah, I mean, like it's incredible. Like you get a sense as if it could be a national park, not crazy like Yosemite or something.
Well, no,
but I mean, it's still up there in terms of beauty.
I would say in this part of the country, it's an attraction.
Yeah,
and listen. I know the Metro Park itself is, from what I understand, about 1,700 acres. And that doesn't include, Old Man's Cave and things of that nature.
Yeah. I think anytime we get a chance to work down in Hocking, I'm excited just because of the terrain and the topography, right? Here in Columbus, you get a site that you're working on not 9 times, maybe 8 times, 7 times out of 10, a good majority, over 50% for sure. It's flat. Yep. It's a flat site. Almost no terrain at all to work with.
You want to see flat, go to Indiana, which is where I was born.
Yeah.
When I moved to Ohio as a young boy, I was like, wow, look, the earth is, these rolling hills are huge. I think I call them mountains.
Well, see, but when you get into the Hocking area, that was for the cliffs. That was one of the most interesting things to work around was the terrain and the topography.
Sure.
So that was that became one of the key features of that project, to be honest with you.
I'm not going to compare it to the Smoky Mountains, but you can I know there's about a 200-foot elevation change on our property that we own down there. I mean, that's fairly significant. So I mean, you can see at the top of a hill, you can see for miles.
Yeah, there's probably depends, but there's probably points where you're at 500-600 feet of elevation change top to bottom.
Sure.
So it's significant. Yeah, I would say if you're at the top and you have a clear view, you could see pretty far.
Yeah. Well, this is nestled in the heart of Hocking Hills. Again, this project didn't get built. They recently built 3 new cabins down there. And this was kind of a conceptual design that
it was full-fledged, more than conceptual.
Yeah.
It was a full-fledged, we had engineering and everything, and like I said, one of the features was how it actually extended out into I don't know, into the void or into
this
space it was floating essentially.
Yeah, this particular project cantilevers out about 60 feet out over.
You got the plans.
Yeah.
You tell me
Let's see.
what's the dimension on the bedrooms there on the end? So from the living room space out, I think it was more like 20 something.
Okay, so the width of the house is 62 feet, but obviously you have a load bearing point that isn't cantilevered. But for the most part, maybe about a third of the house is embedded into the hillside.
Yep. And the other 2/3 is sticking out. Yeah. And with the terrain dropping down.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love the renderings.
30, 40 feet of difference from front of house to back of house. So by the time you actually get to the back of the house, you actually had like this under deck area, which we had like some hammocks, and I believe, and other stuff that was like set up in that area, which then tied into the bedroom master suite that was on the lower level there. And again, like above you had, 15 feet before you got to the deck that extended out further.
And honestly, the geometry of this is really cool because it's I think calling it a U shape is lackluster, but there's this interior courtyard, right, and it's exposed out to the valley area, this drop off that you're facing, which is just all nature. And now we have this little private area that leads out from the primary suite. Then we have this living wall, and then you have this large courtyard area that has all this activity and the rest of the house with all this interior court glass that's facing.
Like U shape, but that's just the interior habitable space.
Yeah.
So all the areas that you're occupying that are, conditioned and everything and protected from the environment, that's a U shape. But like obviously with the deck and everything infilled, like you said, you create this like courtyard where you're surrounded by building on one side and then it opens up to nature on the other side. So when you're on the deck, you're basically immersed in nature. I think even at one point they wanted to have it where a tree was coming up through the deck and build the house around the tree. That, they had some pretty grand ideas, which didn't work into the design necessarily, but still the way the design landed at the end of the day, it was still a pretty interesting project to work on. Yeah,
we'll have Danny put our renderings in here so that you guys can see what this would potentially look like. And then
and really the master creator or whatever, designer or whatever you want to call him, architect, Nino was heavily involved in sketching and designing the proportions overall with the massing, how this thing, it's a much more modern look to it. It's not something that you go down to Hocking and you see like a cabin or some like Ohio style building that's not really that exciting or attractive from the outside. It does its job. It protects you. It gets you there to the, immersed in the environment, in the woods, in the forest, in the landscape, but it's nothing that interesting to look at. Nino spent a lot of time really massaging what the proportions were, what the slopes of the roof were. And again, with much more of a modern flair, something that you'd see maybe in Los Angeles,
I think
on the coast, not in Ohio.
Correct. I think it's important to note that the owner had a lot of input on this, so we worked very closely with him and his wife, and in sculpting this thing. And again, Paul, you mentioned the roof line. Yeah, we have these interesting sloping roof lines with overhangs, and we were looking at energy efficiency and how we can maximize sunlight in the wintertime and have shade in the summertime.
Having something very unique and marketable was critical for them as well. So again, not fitting into the mold of a typical Ohio cabin in Hocking was like paramount for them. So this project really ended up at the end of the day being something very unique in terms of its proportion and shape and layout and design aesthetic. Like everything about it was just different and unique. So yeah, we were a little bit bummed when at the end of the day the budget came in and it was just too much for them to bear and actually put in and implement. Maybe one day.
Yeah, they didn't say that it's never going to happen.
Yeah. But as of right now, it's it's something that basically is not going to be built.
So. What I think is really cool about this, though, if you look at the front of the home, it's kind of unassuming, like because it's sitting. It looks like a single story ranch house that it obviously has a modern flair to it, but at the end of the day, it also has a cabin feel. Like you are in the woods. And then all of a sudden, there's so much, like you step in and it keeps going, and you literally get hit by this interior courtyard, these outdoor activities, and then you're extended and cantilevered over the valley.
Yeah, you should talk to the owners and previous clients, and you should talk to Nino. Be like, hey, can I take this and tweak it and use it on my land? It's a good design. It really is. I mean, like, it works for what it needs to work for. It's something really unique and special, and yeah, it stands out.
Well, I think you can expect something
similar to it to appear on your land at some point.
Well, because we have a similar landscape, right? Where we have this huge drop off with this valley that we have, and we actually eventually want to put a private lake down there, far away from the natural stream that's there, but because we can't interfere with those waterways. But yeah, I mean, when you have a drop off like that, and you're able to do something that cantilevers out and into that space, it's a really cool experience.
I mean, again, the topography, I think, drives just some interest in what you can do with the design of a building. It's not a flat piece of land that you just plop down, right? Like, even when you have a house where you have like a walkout basement, because the slope of the site from the front to the back is enough to allow for that opportunity. Like, there's even if it's still a traditional style house, there's still more interest in the design of it with features like that.
I agree.
So yeah, something like this is extreme because, again, you're talking like 40-50 feet front to back.
Well, I'm looking at the section of this, and we scanned the hillside with our scanner, and we're looking at 10, 20, 30. I mean,
that was fun. You just brought back a great memory. I was hiking through the woods with this tripod and scanner, and I if I recall right, I had to go in the spring so the vegetation wasn't too much, because if I went out there in the summer, forget it. Like, I'd have to go like 5 feet. Every 5 feet, I'd have to do a scan point to make connections.
Well, because of that drop off, and this is also why the engineering came in so high. We have basically from the edge of that balcony, or deck space, that outdoor deck space, you have almost a 30-foot drop off. Yeah. To the bottom of,
I'd say it's significant. Yeah.
So if you're,
that's just at the back. Like, you go front to back, it's even more. Like I said, 50, 60 feet front to back.
Right. But if you're looking at trees that are growing on that hillside, they're maybe 60 to 70 feet. I mean,
you're like partially in the canopy of those trees.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because you're projected so far out there, you are, instead of experiencing the forest on the forest floor where we have a lot of tree trunks, you're literally experiencing the canopy, which is pretty awesome. Right?
Yeah. But to be fair, like, the project also had that experience involved with it as well, because we still had a base in the front third of the project that was all a concrete foundation, like a huge concrete block. We were going to carve into the hillside partially, build this foundation system there, which then the steel platform was built on top of. And then that's where the 2/3 extends out, cantilevers out. And then we had like these 4 posts in the corners coming up as like not a tripod, but
it's a reverse pyramid.
Yeah, basically there you go. Reverse pyramid.
And the gauge of steel is on the smaller side. So
yeah, so there was only 2 points that it touched the ground.
So we have 2 footers on the cantilever side, and then this steel structure that supports it in a very clever way, if you ask me. But it's also limited, right? So we could to truly make it appear like it's floating. These aren't big columns of
and like, we also were very careful with them. You'll see in the renderings once we post them, we were somewhat selective with material choice too, and color choice. So it's like, we want the structure to be as dark as possible, or darker, so that it tries to basically blend and eliminate especially with a shadow that's the building above it and the structure underneath of it. Again, it gives this illusion of if it's floating, and there's no structure at all. So yeah, we were very careful about, 1, the structure, and 2, like, even the color of it.
Yeah. Yep. And these projects are always fun because the owner wanted to have this be a residence as well as a rental property, like a vacation home. So it kind of checks all the boxes, which is probably why it came in a little bit over budget.
I can't, and this was a few years back, so I can't even imagine now.
Yeah.
What the price would be to build this thing. Obviously, there's a decent amount. It's not fully traditional construction. There was claddings and rain screens, and obviously steel and reinforced concrete and carving into hillsides. That was all involved with the project. So it's not your typical house, but yeah, I would imagine now it's probably another couple $100,000 easily in cost to get this thing built, if not $500,000 more.
Yeah. Yeah. You're probably around the 1.5, 1.6 range.
No, I think it was 1.5 originally.
No, it was $1 million.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I thought was, hey,
reasonable.
Yeah. I'm like, let's go.
It's easy when it's not your money. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a great project. If it gets built one day, that would be phenomenal. So, but who knows? Maybe you'll have to repurpose the design for your land and come up with something.
Definitely some of the elements. I think I love it.
Yeah. All right, switching gears, BeAligned.
Yeah. So back into Columbus.
I like Hocking though. I want to stay there longer.
You're welcome to go down and camp out if you want.
I know. All right. Back in Columbus. Actually, we're in Delaware County, just outside of Columbus, right? Isn't it Powell?
That is, I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the owners of what fantastic people. In fact, we did a podcast on this.
Yeah.
What's the episode? Do you know that? You remember?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. So
I mean, we were about a year into podcasting. I can look it up here as you're chatting about it. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. What we'll do is we'll have Danny post that episode in the notes. We actually had Scott from Ron Scott Custom Builders, who we interviewed, and we talked about this project specifically. So we'll probably won't go too deep in on this because we have that as a reference. But either way, from a high level, BeAligned, it turned out to be beautiful. There were a lot of elements that were.
Yeah, it was from March 16th, just so you know. Sorry, I had to look it up. Yep. March 16th. So Ron Scott Design Build, Holistic Design, and Chromotherapy in Action is the title of the episode. And again, we got about 40 episodes up on our podcast channel. But yeah, that was the one where we talked about this project specifically.
Yeah, and Scott, him and his wife just dug into the details on this one and spent a lot of time going back and forth on how to make that experience truly special.
Yeah. And the client outgrew the space that they were in. It's actually a client that, Ron Scott and had worked with before. So, they were kind of the ones that we partnered. They brought us in to basically partner up on this project. So we were the architectural side of it. And we brought in our MEP consultants as well for this project. So it really was a partnership with him on this particular project to get things done. And the owner had bought a new space, completely gutted it down to the studs. It was originally an office space. Actually, I think it was both office spaces, just like.
Yeah. What an incredible transformation.
Yeah. And it was separated. There's two separate tenants that basically once the building was bought and the leases were done, those tenants were out and they completely gutted everything and just redid the space.
Yeah. Tune into that episode because there's a lot of features that they added that truly made it special, from lighting to color selections and the science behind that, the psychology behind it. Just a really exciting space. What I'm really proud of and excited about is that when they opened and they moved from their previous location into this location, their business exploded.
Oh, it all comes down to, the environment that you're in and surrounded by and how that makes you feel. And for a client to walk into, a space that's half the size, a couple thousand square feet, like 2,000 square feet versus 4,000, to where you're crammed, to where you have so many people in the space, like you're bumping into people and people are having to move out of the way just to circulate around the space. Even that alone, it puts a big ding in your experience, right?
Sure. And as a client, if you're going in to experience a space, get worked on, you're much more likely to refer somebody if your experience is a home run. You're like, holy cow, this place is amazing.
You want it to feel open, inviting, comfortable, right? Like you're not in this little tiny shoebox of a space, where someone's working on you and it's just crowded and noisy and distracting. You don't want any of that. So yeah, for them, it was transformative. in terms of client experience, just going from the space they were in originally that they outgrew into their new space.
Yep. And simple little things like the door openings, instead of being standard openings, they went for the 8-foot, these larger openings.
Yeah. Well, and these beautiful sliding doors, like we had all these pocket doors that were drawn up in our plans. And it's like, you're really going to do pocket doors? It's like, we're going to figure this. So basically it ended up being almost like a barn door, but not a barn door.
And it was also aluminum construction rather than your standard,
I mean, like modern, like robust, clean, and it was on a track
close.
And it was on a track system where it was like soft and quiet and just it wasn't a barn door, on a track or something. But beautiful implementation for the doors.
And and a lot of times in commercial spaces, lighting can be an issue. Well, they talked about lighting color, and they brought in the warm tones, and they have primary, secondary, tertiary lighting, down lighting when you walk in. I mean, you're seeing all these highlights and these details that really warm the space up, which is great.
Yeah, and the goal was always about creating a certain energy in the space, right? Again, we kind of touched on it a little bit ago about just how their clients feel in the space. It's something that you have to think about all these different things in a holistic way in order to put everything together to where it does feel that way, to where it feels cozy. Cozy, I think, would be a great word to use to describe how the space feels when you're in it.
I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a great episode. I think we talked through a lot of the project constraints. We talked through some of the budget stuff.
MEPs, our MEP partners certainly helped us solve a lot of issues as well. So we're glad to have them on our team. It was great, a great experience. And I actually learned quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a few other things that we talked about on the episode. Just trying to think back to, obviously we talked about the chromotherapy and some of the other stuff as well.
I mean, even their furniture selection was spot on and highly customized. Natural plants were brought into, they wanted to touch on all these different aspects. And the owners, it was a true collaboration. And I think and just like the Cliffs, I think when you have that collaboration with the client and the contractor, when we're all working together as a team, that's when you get the best end result.
Yeah. Hands-on, as much as you can be, if you're hands-on, like in the trenches doing the work, right? And you're involved with the client to the fullest extent possible. I even remember working through the design process. There was a point where there was a sheet of paper that was basically the foundation or outline. We had the
musical spaces.
Yeah. But I mean, we had the shell of the building drawn up. So we had all the exterior walls, and it was just a blank nothing. And then it was like construction paper with like handwriting and we were like cutting out, Ron was like working with the client directly, and
we had this square footage for this square footage
and
for
so
that.
Like it was literally cut out of construction paper to where like literally hands-on, like grabbing these physical pieces of paper with the client at a meeting, moving stuff around on this blank canvas that we gave them, where here's your boundary, here's the scale of the drawing. And then that was given to us as like our sketch for intent and desire of client space and layout and purpose.
Talk about going back to the basics.
So starting that,
it was a great programming exercise. So yeah, I had fun with that.
Yeah. And then just some other stuff that was, that we didn't necessarily think about up front. So I'll give a shout out to like Ron on the like storage solution that they came up with the client. So some clever features like that, where they had this little pocket, which I think originally we had just called out
seating.
No, it was like shelving stuff, but just like it was like a little U-shaped pocket niche in this alcove, whatever.
But it was also limited, like you couldn't do a whole lot with it.
No, it's small. I mean, like a 4 foot by 2 foot space.
Yep. So they stacked it. They put the front shelving on rollers.
Yeah. With a cord that was not corded. What's the
curly Q?
Like a pig's tail.
Oh, like the old rotary phone that you grew up in the 80s with.
Yeah, isn't there a word for it?
Probably.
Okay. Anyway, I think everyone knows what we're talking about. But yeah, it allowed it to stretch, right?
Yeah. So we have this commercially rated cord that when you stretch it out, it just doesn't lay on the floor. and when you push it back, it just doesn't lay on the floor, and you roll over it, it literally coils itself back up, and then you can pull out the shelf to look at the product behind it, restock the shelf, etc. Very convenient. You didn't have to so each shelf had its own independent lighting too, which looked beautiful. You didn't have to disconnect the cord to have access to the behind it.
So all your storage was basically open storage, but it was concealed. So it was like an innovative storage solution so that the staff could still pull this customer facing display out of the way to grab whatever product to restock it and then push it back into place. And it stayed connected and illuminated and everything the whole time. So a very clever way to use a 2 foot by 4 foot space, right? So some of that stuff, like we didn't think about necessarily up front, but during the construction process, it came up like, how do we make the best use of this 2 foot by 4 foot, area?
And not only did they have those type of custom touches, they also had like live edge finishes. Just I think in general, like they didn't cut any corners, and that's what really put it over the top.
Yeah. Looking at so I have a cheat sheet in front of me. The show notes from our episode where we did go and like do the deep dive. Do you know the percentage off the top of your head?
No.
40% for an increase in the client referrals. I just saw that number on the cheat sheet here.
Like I called it.
Again, like such simple things, and you just can't believe the impact that it has, you know, especially on even, again, just referrals from new clients.
Yeah. And those are metrics that investors are interested in, right? If you know that going into it, you're more likely to spend a little bit more money to get that increase in client referral.
Yeah, obviously we'll put the pictures and stuff of the final space for BeAligned up as well. I think it turned out phenomenal. Again, just like the level of collaboration, even when it was under construction. I know Ron was calling me up quite a bit, asking questions about things. Can we make this adjustment, that adjustment? Working with the inspectors on site, his HVAC subs, electrical subs, whatever it was, we were basically there to answer the call. So even like once he got into the construction phase of it, helping him get to the finish line there, I think was also like where it was, that collaboration between us came in and played a crucial part just to get this across the finish line. And it turned out, like the space, the flow of it, the material finishes, like everything turned out phenomenal.
And we'll go ahead and put his information again in the show notes.
Yeah. So we'll link to the past show, we'll link to the pictures, and we'll put his info in the show notes as well.
Yeah. So why did we just talk about this, Paul?
Well, we're hoping this is the part where it's the the sponsor time, right? Or I don't know, sponsor time or the asking for vote time.
It's whatever we want it to be.
Yeah. But we're hoping that you feel a similar way when you see these images, that these projects are deserving of your vote. Take a minute or two to click on some links.
Yeah. So
and vote for these projects so we can actually be recognized for the People's Choice Award here.
I think we can vote and listen. It's probably we're gonna be airing this soon, but we're probably only gonna have about a week or so to place your vote. So if you're listening to this at a later date, you might have missed the window, but that's fine. Either way, this is two great projects that we're proud of that we did, and we're working on many more that are gonna hopefully meet some of these higher criteria.
They're upcoming. We'll have continued, applications for awards next year.
So, Paul, do you want to talk about this is through AIA? It's a state level. Do you want to just?
So it's basically like the National Architect.
Regulatory body,
regulation body. It's just it's like an organization. So it's the basically the governing group for I don't know. It's not like a social group. It's not really a regulation body. I'm trying to think of how to describe the AIA.
Well, it's one of the oldest organizations.
It's like a professional organization for just fellow architects to be recognized, to network, an organization to help govern certain things like contracts. They actually have contracts and other stuff, but professional organization basically.
And these are the conferences we go to annually and on a national level and on a state level.
Yeah. So, it's an award through them. So we're submitting through their system, basically seeking this recognition.
Yeah. And there's an additional link in the show notes where you can vote for each of these projects on to support us.
Yeah, and 1 vote per 24 hours. So
if you're listening to this on
and there you got 4 days. Hopefully, we can
There
get
you go.
four votes. Yeah.
we would greatly appreciate it.
So
Well, with that, I think we can wrap up there, Paul.
yeah,
This was fun.
yeah. Well, like I said, a year from now we'll have to do the next one.
Yeah.
So we'll be submitting again. So we'll be asking for votes again. But that's a year away. So
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
and thanks for your vote.
This has been the ArcFluence Podcast. As always, you can get more information and additional content on arcfluence.com. Please subscribe on the platform of your choice and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you.